Hello AP Chemistry and welcome to the final of our periodic trends. Okay, that's not true. There's one more in the next chapter, but the final one for chapter 7 is electron affinity, okay? Which we are talking here about the making of a cation, making of an anion, right? Meaning we are talking about adding electrons to, again, a gaseous species, okay? Now, by definition, electron affinity is the energy change, okay, associated with the addition of an electron to a gaseous atom, okay? The energy change associated with the addition of an electron, so addition of an electron to a gaseous species to form an anion, okay? Now, things to be mindful of. Here we're not saying energy required, we're saying energy change, which means that some of them will be negative and some will be positive. If it's negative, right, going back to our things here, right, if it's negative, it's saying that energy is released, right, and the addition of the electron was a favorable process and leads to increased stability for said species, right. If it's positive, right, that means the addition of the electron leads to a less stable species, right. It requires the electron it requires energy to add it, which means that it is a not favorable process, okay? So this is just an example equation. If we look here at our electron affinity trends, right, we see that, so we only have the main group elements because electron affinity is less well-defined a trend, right? There are some things that are well-defined, some things not so much, right? So if we look, right, we'll see that here we definitely have positive EA values over here, okay? And why do you think we have positive electron affinity values over here? Right, the addition of an electron to a noble gas is an unfavorable process, right? These have a full valence, they have no need for an extra electron, so if we want to add one to it, it's going to cost energy to do so, right? Likewise, if we look over here, right, these are some of our most negative ones, right? Now, most negative means that the addition of that electron is most favorable for group 7A, also known as group 17. Why is that? Right, because for each of these, the addition of one electron completes their valence, right? One electron completes their valence, which means that the addition of one electron is actually an incredibly favorable process because it brings them to stability, okay? Right, and here, so as we go across, on average, it becomes more negative until we get to our noble gases, right? And we'll look here, right? Here we have a trend where adding electrons to this one, not incredibly favorable. And this goes back to what we kind of talked about, right? Where here our S subshell is full, right? And so if we add one, right, that means we're actually talking about starting our 2p subshell, where p is not as close to the nucleus as our S, right? So it is not as favorable, right? So anyway, that's our electron affinity trends, and we don't even talk about them for the transition metals because they're not well defined at all for that region of the periodic table. So anyway, this is our electron affinity, the final trend for chapter 7. Do be sure you pay attention to the outline. Sections 7, 6, 7, 7, and 7, 8 do require you to read them from the textbook. Mostly it's just notes about properties and reactivity, things that you are expected to know and be able to use. So make sure you do that. Thank you for listening. Be good, and I'll see you soon. Bye.